As we've been reporting, a New York Attorney General investigation found Governor Andrew Cuomo has sexually harassed multiple women. That includes both former and current state employees. Michael George reports.
A defiant New York Governor Andrew Cuomo challenged an independent investigation's findings that he sexually harassed multiple women.
I never touched anyone inappropriately or made inappropriate sexual advances.
The investigation found all 11 accusers credible.
The investigation found that Governor Andrew Cuomo sexually harassed current and former New York State employees by engaging in unwelcome and non-consensual touching and making numerous offensive comments of a suggestive and sexual nature.
Investigators say an employee who they identified as Executive Assistant Number 1 endured repeated physical violations.
The governor hugged Executive Assistant Number 1 and reached under her blouse to grab her breast.
The 5-month investigation also found the governor's administration created a hostile work environment.
The governor and his senior team took actions to retaliate against at least one former employee for coming forward.
But this investigation doesn't carry any penalties. Whether or not Governor Cuomo will face civil or criminal charges will be up to the accusers and law enforcement.
We're not only dealing with the possibility of criminal trials, criminal cases and civil cases, but we're really dealing with his political future.
The Attorney General's report is expected to factor into whether the New York State Assembly decides there are grounds for impeachment. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
Alyssa Katz joins me now with more. She's the deputy editor for the nonprofit news organization The City. Alyssa, welcome. So a number of New York Democrats have taken a wait-and-see approach with the governor, but New York Senator Chuck Schumer said this after Attorney General James's press conference. Let's listen.
Did you watch the governor's statement? Clearly he didn't resign, so what is your reaction to that?
I continue to believe the governor should resign. Yes, next.
If he doesn't, should the legislature impeach him and then remove him from office?
As I said, I continue to believe the governor should resign.
So this investigation is based on 140 interviews with 40 of them under oath. What do we know about the possible criminal charge?
Well, I mean, I think, in terms of criminal conduct, we're looking at things that might be misdemeanor sexual touching. I think the far more troubling allegations for Cuomo are that, the report really found systemic violations of civil law, right, in both federal and state human rights law, including, I think, very ironically, this law in New York that Cuomo himself had signed a change in 2019, making it easier for women to press cases of workplace sexual harassment. And, what the Attorney General's investigation found was that, under federal law, you have to prove severe and pervasive misconduct. And, this report by two very experienced investigators, one a prosecutor, one an attorney who specializes in sexual misconduct, found that Cuomo had very plainly, by all the evidence from all these interviews and records, text messages, all kinds of evidence that they've amassed and presented publicly today, really shows Cuomo subjecting women to unwanted touching, unwanted sexual innuendos. And they said this creates a hostile workplace environment. So, this really leaves Cuomo very vulnerable. Certainly, he's subject to lawsuits under these laws, but also, I mean, politically, I know you showed Chuck Schumer saying he should resign. You'd be very hard pressed to find a Democrat in New York or anywhere today who is really still openly standing by Cuomo. If they're not saying that he should resign immediately, which I think virtually all are. They are certainly saying that impeachment proceedings should begin and the evidence should be heard. But in any case, no defenders of Cuomo today.
So the governor did make it clear he has no intention of resigning. He responded with a pre-recorded video message saying the facts are, quote, much different than what's been portrayed. There was also that photo montage of him being physically affectionate with men and women of all ages. What can you tell us about possible impeachment? And is he planning to meet with state leaders to discuss his future?
Yeah, I have a feeling the state leaders will not be interested in meeting with him and will just proceed most likely with impeachment proceedings. But about that montage, that was really a remarkable attempt at a defense, and as you noted, the governor's video is pre-recorded and kind of it seemed to anticipate what the investigation would likely touch on. And remember, the governor himself had been interviewed for 11 hours recently. So, based on that interview, interviewed by the investigators for this report and investigation. So, he had some idea what was coming. And so this video response was really largely about the allegations made against him by one woman, Charlotte Bennett, who, age of 25, was working in his office during COVID and said basically that the governor seemed to be, almost like working toward propositioning her for sex and that she felt very, very uncomfortable by his words and the kinds of questions and statements he was throwing her way. And, it was really based on that he then said, well, I'm very, first of all, that her understanding and his about what happened were very different, but that he was simply trying to help her since she had confessed to being a victim of sexual violations, right? That she was a victim of sexual violence, and that he then was trying to, empathize with her and be supportive, is what he says. And clearly she understood it very, very differently. And then meanwhile, this video did not respond to very significant allegations that were made in this report, not just allegations, but findings, about not only what the governor's alleged to have done to the women, but also that he retaliated against one of them, that he and his staff had attempted to get unfavorable stories in the media discrediting one woman. Also, in the case of Bennett, that the Cuomo's office did not follow the procedures that they had established. Again, they set these rules, made a big deal about setting rules, and then ignored them. And so instead had the governor's handlers take her statements and figure out how to address her concerns rather than sending it to human resources as they had agreed to do. So, I think you see really a systemic breakdown here where Cuomo violated rules his own office had set up, and just, consistently the women had told the investigators that his actions had made them incredibly uncomfortable. That they considered this workplace harassment, and for Cuomo to continue to try to deny it, clearly, as we've seen from the response, is just untenable.
So you mentioned that, of course, you said no Democrats are rushing to his defense. Has anyone at all come out in support of the governor in the wake of this investigation?
I've been following this story all day, working with reporters who are covering it. I have not yet heard a statement certainly not from an elected official. It's certainly people who work for Cuomo or kind of close associates of his. They may well be reaching out. But again, even I think they are being very cautious today because the findings are very damning. And so that, that video Cuomo released, pre-recorded, he appeared to be reading from a script. He put out a statement from his counsel that kind of went into more detail about his position, broadly speaking. But really, we've heard nothing else from the governor's office. And legally speaking, given his liability, he's not in a position to be really advocating for himself right now.
Is it clear what this all means for his political future? Because in addition to this investigation, there is also that pending investigation into COVID deaths in nursing homes. So, I wonder, for a governor that was, as of now, still running for re-election, what could this mean?
Right. Well, I do think that these, in terms of the evidence that we have in hand at this stage, this sexual misconduct investigation and report are far, far more damning than anything we know about the nursing homes. In the nursing homes, you have ultimately what amounts to a policy disagreement about how to deal with the awful, difficult decisions during COVID, about how to care for very sick people safely. And certainly Cuomo's position on the nursing homes was defensible. And, there may be other things they could have done to save lives there, but I don't think ultimately he's criminally liable on that. And in fact, the Justice Department had already closed that investigation. But this is really could be an extinction event for Andrew Cuomo. You have the state assembly actively meeting as we speak, or meeting earlier today, to discuss how are we going to pursue impeachment hearings, right? That's what it looks like they are heading towards, strictly on these sexual misconduct findings. And I think this is going to be the central event. And again, I just cannot see, even if Cuomo refuses to resign and somehow survives in impeachment hearings, perhaps survives findings, just as Trump did, survives findings and is not removed, then he's still, I cannot see him running for re-election under these circumstances. As a Democrat, where they're the party of Me Too, they're the party that's supposed to be standing up for women's rights, the party that attacked the Trump administration for not being sufficiently supportive of women who had been victims of sexual predators. And I think it's just, as we've seen with other Democrats, it sort of becomes, very different than Al Franken's situation, but Senator Al Franken of Minnesota, when much less serious evidence of, maybe slight line crossing by him, again, that was debatable, had many Democrats calling for his resignation. And he resigned, right? And one of those Democrats was New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. So I think given that history and given the Democrats' kind of political positioning, again, I don't see a pathway for Cuomo to survive. But, we've had surprises before, and we may be surprised again here.
All right. You called it a, quote, extinction event. Alyssa Katz for us. Alyssa, thank you very much.
Thank you.